I don't know if there's anything as fun as watching Tim Pool learn in real time that the thing he just said was wrong, and there's plenty of evidence to show that he is. But it only really gets that much better when Tim Pool tries to BS his way out of things afterwards. And then to have his cronies come in and say things like, oh, well, if that was the plan, boy, it was a terrible plan. Yeah, it was a terrible plan to overthrow the government. That's why they failed. All right, guys, we got a fun one today. Luke Beasley went on Tim Pool's Culture War podcast and debated like 5 different MAGA Republicans all at the same time. And I don't know if it was meant to be this way, but it was pretty much insufferable. And to be honest, this is why people like Luke Beasley should do this and not people like me. Because I would lose my goddamn mind trying to debate these people. This is seriously like a study in the MAGA mind virus and how they can't keep on one topic. They just go all over the place, and they have a million different conspiracy theories and semi-factual, mostly made-up points of view on why they think they're correct. So let's hop right into this, and we'll take a look at something that the first MAGA Republican went off on, and then we'll get a little bit of Luke Beasley's response to that after that.
So why don't you go ahead and articulate your position, Luke? What do you think?
About whether or not people were being persecuted?
Yeah. So when we were talking before the show, we were talking about how I was saying how I want to punish the left the way that they punished the right.
The way you think they did, right?
No, the way they did. Like to where we felt unsafe. Like I live in Philadelphia, and you couldn't have a Trump sticker on your car because they would smash the windows out. They burnt cars, right? They would attack your house. They would physically harm you or say things to you or be nasty to you. We had like elected representatives saying like, you know, not attack these people. That's what I was just like confront these people at the street, at the gas station, in the grocery store, right?
Referring to Maxine Waters,
right, correct.
Specifically.
And we felt like we were getting kicked off of every social media platform. I was considered a quote hate agent on Facebook and was like not allowed to have one. Period. Right? Like a hate agent, all for posting a picture. I didn't post any commentary. I just posted a picture on the thing, and they canceled it forever. It wasn't until I went to work for The Hill again and got my congressional email back was I able to have it. Like they censored us, they isolated us. It was almost like, you know how you guys accuse us of being in a cult all the time? It's almost like you guys are in the cult. Like if you can't be friends with any right-wing people, you can't agree with them at all, you're isolating like the opposition. If you're all not on the same page, it's a problem. Where like we can at least criticize our people, we can criticize the president. We don't isolate anybody. Like we're willing to talk to you, and we don't like threaten you with violence. And you can bring up January 6th or whatever, but it really felt like
we need to get into that for sure.
Yeah, but if it really felt like if you were on the right, you were a pariah in society.
Yeah, okay. And you see that in your comment section.
So first of all, as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I can tell you that this is not something that is just people with MAGA bumper stickers that this is happening to them. It's Philadelphia. There's so many reasons to get your car keyed or vandalized in Philadelphia. So as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I'm just asking, please don't judge the rest of the country on how Philadelphia people react to things. But even with that being said, acting as though MAGA Republicans have never created any type of situation that would make it more likely for them to get their cars vandalized or for them to be attacked on social media or for them to have their posts taken down. As she said, it was forever, but then she was like, oh, you know, actually, I did just get it back. It's kind of insane. MAGA Republicans literally love Donald Trump because he insults people. MAGA Republicans are constantly trying to own the left. They're literally always saying things like liberal cuck, calling Kamala Harris a communist, calling Joe Biden sleepy Joe Biden, or Hillary Clinton crooked Hillary Clinton. Some of them even claim that left-wing people are drinking the blood of babies or allowing immigrants to enter the country and violate the sovereignty of its citizens. And as far as they're allowed to criticize their president, they might be allowed to, but they don't ever do it. I don't remember the last time that I ever saw somebody criticize Vivek or Marjorie Taylor Greene or even Laura Loomer, who there is plenty to criticize about Laura Loomer. But as you can see, this is going to be a bit of a rough time for Luke Beasley to get even a word in defense of this. But eventually he did.
So, First off, political violence of any kind, if you're saying that someone attacks your car or something because there's a MAGA sticker, that's insane. They shouldn't do that. It is important to remember that the data show that right-wing political violence is far more
fake data.
Hold on, I want
political violence. Well, I'm just going to finish the point. She went for a while there. And then, you bring up January 6th. That's an instance of political violence. But what you need to understand about something I've explained to Isabel before is that to understand our political analysis of two different relevant, prominent leaders, you have to at least limit it for some logical discussions to the leaders we're talking about, not vibes and abstract perceptions of an entire side. Because on any side, people will do crazy stuff.
But in the case of
look
at the BLM riots for months, like that's it's largely left-wing activists.
Right.
How come it's that?
And
base?
Democrats believed that if you committed crimes, you should be held accountable for them.
That's not true.
Unlike
They were
Trump
bailing them out.
actually
Kamala
thinks
That's not true.
herself.
Yeah, it's not true. Unlike Trump actually wanting to pardon people who were violent on January 6th. But I will say,
They should, all of
in
them.
the case of Trump, I'm all for protecting free speech. Y'all will sometimes mix up social media censorship, which if you have a platform, you're on the platform and you have terms of service, we can debate
the
about
town square
what
now.
those terms of service should be, but that's not the same as government infringement.
But
the government did infringe.
Right?
The
And I'm
FBI
just going
did
to
have.
complete my point really quickly. We can address that.
It's
'cause I know
already
traffic
getting
going.
heated. Not even 5 minutes in.
No. And then finally, I've never heard Vice President Harris advocate for censorship, whereas Trump literally said the government should come down hard on MSNBC. That's your leader of your movement, not just some random person out on social media.
Which I disagree with that, by the way.
Kamala Harris absolutely said that she was going to look into expropriating Twitter from Elon Musk because he had lost his privilege. These are her words. That's a direct quote. Lost his privilege to own because he was being. I guess the way that she phrased it was he wasn't doing enough to censor people. She literally said lost his privilege. There was that is a direct quote. Lost.
I'm going to pull it up.
Lost his privilege.
I haven't even seen that.
Luke Beasley deserves a Medal of Honor for patience for dealing with these people. I love what he was talking about as far as the right-wing violence thing goes, because here in a minute we're going to get into another clip where he was on another Tim cast. Apparently he went back-to-back. He went on the Culture War show, and then he went on Tim cast in real life. And in which each one of these shows he had to face 5 of these numbskulls. He had to go against 5 different people and all of their conspiracy theories, all of them hyped up on what I can only guess is Red Bull or maybe something else. But in that clip, he's going to discuss a little bit more with Tim Pool about right-wing violence. But one of the things that I want to point out that I find really interesting is how often these people, like this gentleman just did, bring up things that they believe somebody said or did, and then whenever they're asked, are you sure about that, they tend to go, well, in the moment that they have to look at the information that is based off of the thing that they say, all of a sudden, they're not so sure about it, but they'll double down anyways. Anyways, let's take a look at this clip I was talking about where he goes on the Timcast IRL and they start discussing whether or not the right wing is more violent than the left.
You'll go through, and this is really, to people's feelings, compelling to a lot of folks, and cite particular examples to portray a narrative about the entire other side being violent, right? But then we actually research it, and it's not true. Right-wing political violence, it is.
It's made up.
It's not.
You can't even name any.
I have
you can't
research.
name an ideology and name an instance.
If someone would, you could just.
You're going to pull up the
study.
SPLC. You're going to pull up the
Just pull up
FBI.
the
You're going to
study.
pull
I'm
up
talking about
extremely
studies.
biased studies that were done by biased organizations that don't give a damn about the
okay,
truth.
hold on. The point is this.
No. The reason
You cannot make an argument with no data.
No, the reason.
Tell me.
I'm not the one who has access to
You have a
the
computer right
data.
there.
Oh, I want your audience to see what I'm talking about.
No, for sure. Give me a source.
and
I'll pull it up.
All right, perfect.
UML-led study among violent extremist groups. Is it this one?
Yeah.
First of its kind, look at left, right, and Islamist extremists explore similarities and difference. New research co-led by University of Maryland CCJS professor Gary Lafree finds that some political extremist groups are more likely to commit violent acts than others, a belief that's been increasingly questioned on the rise of left-wing extremist groups like Antifa and right-wing extremist groups like the Proud Boys. There's been a strong presumption among many that while the left-wing and right-wing ideologies vary a great deal in content, they resemble each other in terms of their willingness to use violence to further their political agenda. However, our analysis shows the right-wing actors are significantly more violent than left-wing actors, said Lafree, a professor in the Department of Criminology and Criminal Justice and the founding director of the National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism Responses to terrorism. My argument is based on, let's start with what an ideology is.
No, but see, you keep going back to provocative examples of individual acts of violence. The reason when you started listing off instances, I know because I've been in these debates before, how people react when I give you particular examples. It becomes about that example and see, that's the only thing that you could bring up or whatever. I don't want to do that. I would rather just make it about the data. Let's analyze level-headedly, and let's also acknowledge this disagreement doesn't take away from opposing individual acts.
So what left-aligned groups do is say that everything outside of us is right-wing, and then you're
just asserting that without any data at all. Or any.
That's because people on the right don't really care about data. They also don't care about facts. And if there are facts that disagree with what they believe their facts are, then they just say things like the FBI is a group or a government institution that you just can't trust. The SPCL is a group that you just can't trust. And the ADL is a group that you just can't trust. It turns out that anybody that doesn't agree with them, you just can't trust. Mind you, even if you find groups that are on the right that agree with what you're saying, they will then tell you that you can't trust that group either. It seems incredibly convenient that every time that somebody has something that you disagree with, you can't trust them. It's just like Trump does. If Trump doesn't like a person, they were never a good person. If somebody that Trump knows is involved in something and it could get him in trouble, he doesn't even know that person anymore. In the MAGA Republican Party, facts and statistics are trumped by vibes and feelings. But we saved the best clip for last. By the way, this is a 2-hour-long video, so if you guys want to go watch it, you know, if you want to subject yourself to that kind of torture, go for it. Well, I'll put it in the description. But if you just want to see the best clip in this entire podcast, one that is circulating on the right now because they cut it off at a specific particular point so that way it makes Tim Pool look like he just absolutely lambasted Luke Beasley. Take a look at this clip. It was amazing.
They put him in prison and specifically cited his speech. My dude, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Taro, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Taro in prison?
Yeah, so they uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Taro, is that?
Yeah, and his organization.
What plot? Who's they? Give me some
prosecutors.
Give me some data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. All you know is the fascist machine state told you he should be in prison, and you're saying yes to them. Tell me why. Give me the data.
I understand that laws on the books have been there for a long time that I agree with, that if it's proven that you had a plan and you wanted to act on it, then days after.
What's the proof?
The proof is
say the proof.
By prosecutors.
Don't ask. Say it.
Communications between.
What communications? What did he say? What did he do?
Is this serious?
Are you going to tell me why you think Enrique Taro should be in prison for 20 years, or are you going to say the government decreed it?
I just explained to you.
So the government said so. Is that it?
It's usually law enforcement, which I guess is a part of the government.
Government said so?
Yep.
Law enforcement
that uncovers evidence of communications, a memo that he crafted and sent to his organization.
Saying what?
That detailed each institution of government that they were going to try to overthrow. Then just days later, his organization is at the Capitol.
I don't think we can even pull up Enrique Taro.
I'm not quite sure that there's any evidence of that sort.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this. The idea that Enrique Taro crafted a memo outlining or they 3 months featured witness evidence featured Taro and co-defense included videos, thousands of messages in encrypted chat groups, as well as a public message on Parler. On or before January 6th, Taro convened a Ministry of Self-Defense to coordinate Proud Boys leadership on January 6th. The chat showed that Taro, stationed in Baltimore, encouraged the Proud Boys as they attacked the Capitol. Let's figure out what that encouragement was. Are they going to actually say in the article? So here's a citation. Proud Boy and 3 other members of the far-right groups were convicted Thursday in a plot to attack the Capitol. A jury in Washington, D.C. found Taro and 3 lieutenants guilty of seditious conspiracy after hearing dozens of witnesses. Jurors cleared a 5th defendant, Dominic Pizzola, on a citizen charge, an significant milestone of the Justice Department, which is now secured a conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. They will never stop. Okay, that's interesting. Wikipedia asserts that they did this, but there's actually nothing in the news article that actually states that is true. Well, now we got a problem. Let's try this again. Let's try a secondary source. Let's see. There it is. They introduced evidence that Taro discussed with associates a plan to have a large crowd in Washington storm government buildings in a scheme they called 1776 returns, in which the Winter Palace was used as an apparent code for the U.S. Capitol. In a message, he said, make no mistake, we did this, do what must be done, and he directed the Proud Boys to do it again. So the question then becomes, in the bigger picture.
So are you going to at all acknowledge that you just blew up over something that I was absolutely citing fairly?
I don't think you cited it fairly.
I think people should be prosecuted for engaging in plans to overthrow our government. That's kind of
that's a very loose definition of plans to overthrow the government.
Y'all don't seem to be that informed.
Wait, look, respectfully, I cover a lot of protests and riots. A lot of people try to protest and riot and occupy government buildings. Do you think that qualifies as trying to, overthrow your government?
No.
Okay, good. So,
but if they had a plan to take control of the government, which was this one.
If this was an actual plan, this was the leastly poorly, most
over the government,
ridiculous plan ever.
I don't know if there's anything as fun as watching Tim Pool learn in real time that the thing he just said was wrong, and there's plenty of evidence to show that he is. But it only really gets that much better when Tim Pool tries to BS his way out of things afterwards. And then to have his cronies come in and say things like, oh, well, if that was the plan, boy, it was a terrible plan. Yeah, it was a terrible plan to overthrow the government. That's why they failed. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think. You think Luke Beasley did a good job? I think that Luke Beasley is the guy that I want debating people like this because he does 100% make them look like fools. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Remember, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And check out that video on the screen now.